Hello, hello, it's Carlos. Welcome back. When you think about Beyonce, you think about the music. You think about music videos, you even think about her. But then you think about the album cover, and I wanted to tier rank, be a little bit messy, and decide what is Beyonce's greatest album cover. Let's go. Alrighty, let's begin. Starting with Self-Titled. We all remember where we were when Self-Titled was released. I was in high school. It's about to be 10 years that the album was released. Wow. The time flies, let me tell you that. When I think of Self-Titled, I think the album goes perfectly with the music, right? Because Self-Titled was a surprise drop. Nobody had ever done that prior, where you just release the music. She created a visual album that was just released. There was no promotion, there was no build-up. Simply a publish button, and Beyonce sent the music out to the world. So I think when I'm thinking about the album, the cover goes perfectly with it, right? Because Beyonce was already making a statement with the music. She was making a statement with the release and the style of release. So when it came to the cover, well, it wouldn't make sense for Beyonce to be glitzy and glammy when that wasn't necessary for this project. She wanted people to know it's Beyonce, right? It's the queen, and that, for this project, was enough. So I think for me, the simplicity I love the pink, right? Because the black background is a bit masculine. So having those pink letters adds a femininity. And you know whose album this is. It literally says her name on it. I really love the way that it works for this project. So for me, I'm going to give it an A. Next, we're going into 4 by Beyonce. This is my favorite Beyonce album. 4 for me was when I became a Beyonce stan. I remember watching Beyonce's Super Bowl performance and being so mesmerized. I was like, wait, I'm standing the wrong people. I gotta stand this one. And so 4 was the first album that I made mine, right? Because we listened to music, and then in a way, the music becomes ours. It becomes the soundtrack to our lives. So when I think of 4 and I think of the album cover, I do like it, right? 4 is the embodiment of liberation for Beyonce. She had no longer proceeded with her dad as her manager. She was going solo, managing herself. I like the cover. I don't necessarily love the cover, right? Because when you think of the project, you think of Love on Top, Who Runs the World, I Care, 1+1, so many great records. I think what Beyonce was going for with this album was really letting people know that it was Beyonce. And I think when I look at this cover, it's definitely giving me Beyonce. I love the font she used in the background. That's one of my favorite Beyonce fonts. And I think she looks pretty. But I honestly don't love this cover. And it happens sometimes where you can love an album so much and maybe not think the cover was the best option possible. I don't dislike this cover. I like the cover. But do I love the cover? Not exactly. So for me personally, I'm going to put it in B. It's a solid B album cover. We then go into Dangerously in Love, and let me just say this. Now, I think when you are separating yourself from a girl group, you are creating your own path forward as a solo artist. It can be difficult to not be connected to the group even years after. We see Victoria Beckham. When you think of her, you think of the Spice Girls. And I think for Beyonce, with her debut, she was being very intentional to make a statement. And this cover, baby, let's just start here. The diamonds, what she has going on is French kiss. It's spectacular. She looks amazing. She looks healthy. She looks beautiful. She looks moisturized. When I look at this cover, the statement it gives me is independence. It gives me, I'm that girl. I'm that girl. Where are the visuals, though? When I look at this cover, I think it perfectly goes with the album. She looks great. You can tell that she was wanting to be singular. And she wanted everyone to know that she's the baddest in the game. And this kind of cover gives me one of one. It gives me no one's touching me. It's the torso moving a bit to the side. It's the hair. It's the timeless looking at the camera and knowing that she is the one. Honestly, this is iconic. It's iconic. You cannot beat Beyonce's debut album cover. Dangerously in Love. I would frame that. Because when I look at that cover, it feels like Beyonce. It literally, that is when I, in my brain, think about Beyonce when she left Destiny's Child and she was going solo, proving it to the world and herself that she was a superstar. You think of this cover. It's a statement, and I think when we think of album covers and we think of the music, they should perfectly merge, right? And I think that this cover and the music goes perfectly together. I love this cover. Now, I think when it comes to Beyonce covers, this is top tier, right? What I love about this cover is the subliminal messages, because the diamonds and the glitz, it shows worth, right? Like, people of a certain class can afford diamonds, and Beyonce with the diamonds and the hair and the pose, it just really made a statement that Beyonce, she's a superstar. And that's all I get from this cover. Superstar. Next, we're going into B-Day. B-Day is a great album. It has some of my favorite songs like Irreplaceable, Resentment, Kitty Cat, Green Light, Get Me Bodied, Deja Vu. So many great songs. And what I love about this cover is Beyonce looking forward. It's almost like she's looking to the future. And when it comes to B-Day, B-Day was released on Beyonce's 25th birthday. And it was after she had filmed Dreamgirls that she was so inspired to make this album that she made it in 2 weeks, which is kind of crazy. So when I look at this project, there is a sense of owning your worth. There is a sense of Beyonce owning who she was, being a black woman, being a sensual woman, but also being fun and at moments heartbroken. And this album for me is the embodiment of all the different parts of Beyonce at that time, right? And when I look at this cover, I get young adult. It gives me somebody who has 1 foot in adolescence and 1 foot in adulthood. And when I look at Beyonce in this cover, I see a 24-year-old, right? I see somebody who is figuring it out. And while she's figuring it out, she's going to look hot while doing it. I love her hair. I love the body. I love the fact that it is a portrait. So you're really just getting a really intimate view of Beyonce. And there's something about it being filmed outside with the sky and the greenery that makes you know that this album is an album that is active. This is an album where you're going to dance. You're going to want to go outside and dance to these songs. And when I think of this album, I really do love it. It's so simple, right? That I almost feel like I shouldn't like it as much. But when I think of this Beyonce, I think of somebody who's really making it known to everybody that Crazy in Love wasn't just a one-hit wonder. She's a girl that keeps on giving. And for me, it's giving an A. This is an A album cover. I love it, right? Like, she just looks so beautiful. And throughout this analysis, I say beautiful a lot because Beyonce is beautiful. And not that your worth is defined by your beauty, but when you're this hot, come on, you can't be upset, right? Okay, next, Renaissance, the newest addition to Beyonce's discography. Renaissance is all about house music. It's all about expression of your body. It's about the feeling of being stuck at home for over a year during COVID and then going out and being true to yourself, breaking the chains of your past and being uniquely yourself. And I think for this cover, it goes really well with the music because there's so much disco inspiration, house inspiration in Renaissance. And this is a direct reference to Bianca Jagger during the 70s when she was in Studio 54. And for me, Beyonce has given me somebody who's going to have the references. She's going to give you a reinterpretation of something that's already iconic. And knowing the music and knowing the reference, this makes so much sense. And let's also say this, Beyonce looks hot. The horse is cool. The body, she's never showed this much skin. And it was actually the first time since 2011 that Beyonce has shown her face on an album cover. Because during Self-Titled, no face. During Lemonade, she doesn't show her face. So the fact that this is the first studio album since 4 where she is showing her beautiful, God-given face just really shows you that Beyonce's done with hiding. She's done with, like, being cool and, like, oh, well, you can't see me. Beyonce's like, see all of this. I am uniquely myself. And Beyonce looks gorgeous. I think it works really well. My one beef with it is that I love the black cover, the black background, but I do kind of wish that there were a bit more, right? Because we have self-titled with the black cover, we have Black is King with the black cover, and Renaissance, I love it, but I really would have loved if maybe she would have added something interesting in the background. And also, I like when albums have letterings, when they actually say what the album is. And I'm not saying Beyonce had to do that because this cover is beautiful, but maybe having some type of font saying Renaissance? I don't know. I wouldn't have been mad. This cover is an A. No question about it. It's beautiful. It's iconic. It's gorgeous. I love this cover. It's great. Next, The Lion King, The Gift. This album was a really special moment in Beyonce's career because she was taking on such an iconic IP. Like, The Lion King does not get more Disney than that, right? Like, The Lion King is iconic. And Beyonce being selected as the artist who is going to reinterpret this music for this generation. The music is great. I love Bigger. I love Already. I love Find Your Way Back. That's one of my favorite songs. This album is great. And I think with the cover, I love what it represents. I can see this and say it has something to do with lions, and it makes me think of The Lion King. I like it. Do I love it? I like it a lot. I think it's a great cover for the soundtrack. But do I think that there could have been something better? Possibly. Do I hate it? No. Do I love it? Not really. So for me, I'm going to give Black is King, The Lion King, The Gift album cover a C. I don't hate it. I just feel like in the grand scheme of things, it's not my favorite. Next, Everything is Love. The Carters, Beyonce and Jay-Z coming together to create the super couple group that created an album that I really love. I love Nice, Friends, Heard About Us. Great song. And this album came at a really special time because Beyonce had released Lemonade, Jay-Z had released 444, and those were breakup albums. Those were, to a certain extent, cheating albums. And so I think that they needed to make a statement that they were together, that they were strong, they were a unified front. And this album totally does that. This album is a great album. Now, when I think of the art, right, it shows a black woman and man who are standing in front of the Mona Lisa. Now, in apeshit, Beyonce and Jay-Z rented the Louvre, and they made their music video, and it was iconic. It was amazing. I remember reading that the attendance to go to the Louvre went up an astronomical amount because of Beyonce and Jay-Z. Because of their connection to that museum, people wanted to go to it. So I think this art does a really good job of bringing together black love, right? Showing the two people standing together, her doing the man's hair, combing the hair, braiding the hair, behind the Mona Lisa, right? So bringing together black love, black relationship, black culture with prominent art being the Mona Lisa and combining those things together. I love that idea and I love what it represents. Now, when it comes to me looking at the album, I do kind of wish it gave me something more, right? Because this is a statement. Beyonce and Jay-Z for a very long time have collaborated on each other's tracks. They have really showed the world that they were excellence when it came not just to black love, but love, right? Like, this is the couple. And when I look at this album, if I didn't know prior that this was a Beyonce Jay-Z album, I'm not sure if I would have known. Now, it's not bad by any means, but I think for me, I would have preferred if maybe it was this cover, but it was a painted mural. Or maybe if it was Beyonce and Jay-Z, and it was painted. That'd actually be kind of cool. Beyonce and Jay-Z, but it's a painted mural with the Mona Lisa in the back. Or maybe if they would have brought in their children, right? But I think at this point, the twins were like babies. So I don't think that would have been an option. I don't hate the cover. I like what it represents. Is it my favorite? No, but I like it. Do I think they could have done something better? Possibly. But do I love this? I do like it. So for me, I'm going to put this one in a B because it's a solid B cover. I like it. Next, I Am Sasha Fierce. Now, this was the peak of Beyonce being a pop star. Beyonce right now is a superstar. But for I Am, she was pop star as it gets, right? She was giving you Single Ladies. She was giving you Telephone with Lady Gaga. She was giving you all of these great records. Diva, I love that song. And when I look at this album, there really is a juxtaposition to the music, right? Because it's giving you ballads, right? On one side, Halo, Disappear, Ave Maria. But on the other side, it's all of these bangers. And so when I look at the cover, I get a sense of somebody who's meeting in the middle, right? The cover, in a certain extent, reminds me of a white canvas, of something that is clean and pure, but can be whatever you want it to be. So when I look at this cover, I get a sense of Beyonce being very at peace with what is, being at peace with the music that she is, being at peace with the duality of Beyonce, right? Because Beyonce is a very interesting individual. There's so many things about Beyonce that are very different, right? She's a pop star who's so confident, but in real life, Beyonce is shy. She's talked about her shyness. So this cover gives me somebody who is discovering their worth, somebody who knows their worth, but also it gives me something that can be whatever you want it to be. And when I think of this cover, let's start here. She looks beautiful. Beyonce in this cover looks great. I love the simplicity of this cover. I love the chain with the cross. I think that is a beautiful addition to something that's so simple. Do I love this cover? Do I think it's a beautiful cover? Yes, she looks beautiful. For me personally, I'm going to give this a B. I think it's a beautiful cover. It's not my favorite cover, but I do like it. Next is Lemonade. In many ways, this is Beyonce's magnum opus, right? Like, this is one of Beyonce's most popular albums, and this album is about cheating. It's about the iconic elevator scene, which we've talked about, a couple times, and Beyonce being in a place where she was heartbroken, right? The man that she loved broke their relationship, broke the trust that she had in him. And as a response to the world, she created one of her best albums. And what I love about this cover is that this is a cover that perfectly embodies the album. Honestly, I think out of any cover here, this album for me really meshes well with the music, because the music is about a heartbroken woman and going through all the stages of grief and anger to find that place in herself where she could forgive him while also forgiving herself, right? And Beyonce leaning on a vehicle with her arm covering her face with the protective hairstyle that is braids. You see somebody who is in a phase of transition, somebody who to a certain extent is angry, frustrated. The fact that I just see her ear with a very simple font that says Lemonade. I'm curious when I look at this cover. I also feel a sense of disappointment when I look at this cover. Disappointment of our protagonist. Her feelings of being lost and being broken. And for me, when I look at Lemonade's cover, that is exactly what I get. I get a woman who's going through it. She's going through some shit. And for me, this is a perfect Beyonce album. And there's no way it's not going an S. Now, the question is it better than Dangerously in Love? That is the great debate. Is Lemonade a better album cover than Dangerously in Love? And I don't know. The pros of Dangerously in Love. She looks beautiful. She looks gorgeous. Out of any cover, she looks amazing in this cover. The gems, the diamonds. It's giving timeless. It's giving I am the superstar you guys have been waiting on. But Lemonade for me is art. I could remove the font of the words and I would want to frame this exact image. I could see this image in a Guggenheim. I could see this image in an MFH. I could see this image I can see this image going past the music. It becoming its own iconic imagery throughout history. So for me, I think I'm going to put Lemonade in front of Dangerously in Love because it's giving art, right? It's giving something that almost doesn't even need the music. Like, it could just be released on its own and I'd be like, wow, I want to look at this piece of photography for a while. I want to decode it. It makes me curious. And that is the beauty of an album cover. When done well, it should make you ask questions. And when I look at Lemonade, why is she upset? Why is Beyoncé sad? What's happening? I have so many questions. And that is the definition of a good cover. Lastly, Homecoming. You know, I was at Beachella, so I have a different experience with this moment. Being there in person, seeing Destiny's Child, seeing Jay-Z and Solange. Girl, all we needed was Blue Ivy, and we would have had the whole family. And when I think of this cover, I like it. I think it does a really good job of showing the beauty and the royalty of it all, right? Because Beyonce in Homecoming, she was the queen. She was Queen Bee. And so the album works really well for that imagery of being a queen. And there is a simpleness to it. There's a simplicity that I like. And for me, I think I'm going to put this one in B. B just feels right. It's a B cover. It's not great, right? But I think it works for what it needed to do. Y'all, let me know down in the comments, what do you think? What album cover do you think is Beyonce's most iconic? And down in the comments, let me know, what album cover do you dislike the most? Which one would you change? If you were in front of Beyonce, what cover would you say, Queen? Let's rethink it. I would love to know. Comment below, subscribe, like this video, and thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I love you. Bye.